All right, and we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the fourth part of the show now, we're going to talk about Patrick Mahomes, update you guys on what's going on with him and his injury. And it looks like he might be playing. He might be playing. And like I said, we were going to get a good idea on what his status was towards the end of the week here. Well, it's Thursday, and he was practicing in full, and yeah, he reportedly plans to play against the Texans, despite the high ankle sprain. This is according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. He said, "The sense I get is that Mahomes does indeed plan to play. He knows how to protect himself well, and the ankle would need to be in bad shape later in the week for him to sit." So, yeah, I guess he, feels good enough to go. So, again, nothing's official, but it looks like he is going to play. Andy Reid also said he's going to go through some stuff and see how that works out for him. If he can't work, then Carson will take those reps. And look, the Chiefs, they still need to lock up one more thing, and that is home field advantage. But you still got the Bills right behind you. They're 2 games back. And the Chiefs got 3 tough games remaining here. And the Bills got 3 easy games left, you could argue. So Mahomes is going to have to play these final 3 games. Because I honestly do think that if the Chiefs had home field advantage locked up at this point, odds are they probably sit Mahomes. Maybe not. I mean, maybe he plays. Well, actually, no. If it was locked up this week and he's dealing with an injury, they definitely would sit him. Now, I don't know if they would sit him, the rest of the regular season, even though I did bring up, in a perfect world, maybe they say, you know what, we're just going to have you sit until the playoffs. Because then you'd have these final 3 weeks to rest, then you got the bye week, and then you're ready to go divisional round for whatever opponent they're going to be going up against. But that's not going to happen. Now, I do think if the Bills slip up, maybe they lose one of these 2 games to the Patriots, or maybe they lose to the Jets, which I don't think is going to happen, and they have home field advantage locked up, then at least you have the luxury of, okay, well, you're going to rest the final week of the season. I think that's what the Chiefs are hoping for, which I don't think it's going to happen, but I do think that if they get home field advantage locked up before the final week of the season, Mahomes is not going to play, and at least he'll have that time to rest. But I do worry about the protection because it's been a problem, and I keep talking about that, but that has been an issue all year, and I think that's definitely something that they're going to have to address this offseason because you do not want to lose Patrick Mahomes for an extended period of time. And the Chiefs have been fortunate enough during this run that Mahomes really has never been injured. Missed time, let's say. An injury has led to him missing time. Because the only time that happened was 2019 when he dislocated his kneecap in that game against the Broncos, and he missed, I think, 3 games? And it did stink at the time because when I was still in school, I came home because I wanted to see Aaron Rodgers against Patrick Mahomes. And because of the injury that Mahomes suffered, I ended up seeing Aaron Rodgers against Matt Moore. And then, last year, I bought tickets to go see Aaron Rodgers versus Patrick Mahomes. And I got Zach Wilson versus Patrick Mahomes. So it's just, and then, in between that, Rodgers got COVID. And we got to see Jordan Love against Patrick Mahomes. Jordan Love's first start. Yeah, just, we're never going to see it. It's unfortunate that we're never going to see Patrick Mahomes against Aaron Rodgers. Unless Rodgers plays next year and, they match up against each other. Because I don't think, are they playing the AFC? No, they're not playing the AFC East because they played them last year. Yeah, so we're never going to see Aaron Rodgers against Patrick Mahomes. I was really hoping we were going to get that. But it just, one of them would be injured or sick or yeah. Well, actually, no, that is the case. Rodgers was hurt. Mahomes got hurt, and then Rodgers got COVID. It just was never meant to be. But yeah, sorry, went off topic there. But yeah, back to what I was saying though. The Chiefs have been fortunate that Patrick Mahomes has not missed an extended period of time, other than that one time in his career, because of an injury. And if he were to miss time this year, I mean, especially towards the end of the year here, I mean, yeah, that wouldn't be good. Now, I think the Chiefs have a more than capable backup quarterback in Carson Wentz to go out there and, maybe win a game. But I think if they went into the playoffs with Carson Wentz starting at quarterback, the Chiefs are not winning the Super Bowl. They're just not. And that's no knock on Carson Wentz. It's just, Patrick Mahomes is the biggest reason why the Chiefs have been successful over this long period of time. Because you got to remember, when the Chiefs didn't have Mahomes and you had Alex Smith was a good quarterback. But Alex Smith did not take this team over the top, ever. Once they got Mahomes, and especially sitting behind Alex Smith for a year, I mean, Mahomes made all the difference in the world. Mahomes has always been in the AFC Championship game. There has never been one year where he hasn't. And very few teams have knocked him off. So he is very important. Now, the Chiefs do have other good players on this team, and the defense has been the strength for the last 2 years. Although, I feel like this defense hasn't been as good as it was last year, in my opinion. I don't know. That's just from the naked eye. But I think once you get to the playoffs, things will be different. They know what's expected of them come playoff time. So you can't really be worried about the Chiefs. Could this be the year they get knocked off? Yeah. Last year we said the same thing, and it didn't happen. Could happen this year, but I got to see it to believe it. It's kind of like the Patriots. You got to see it to believe it. So, yeah, I mean, look, I think even if Mahomes didn't play in this game, the Texans have been kind of disappointing on offense as of late. C.J. Stroud hasn't had the year that I thought he was going to have. I mean, I picked him to win MVP. I was trying to, not be like, oh, yeah, it's going to be Josh Allen. I was trying to be a little bit different. But maybe I should have just said Josh Allen, because Josh Allen's winning the MVP. But, yeah, Stroud is kind of taking a step back a little bit. I still think he's a good quarterback, and he's going to be very successful in the NFL. But, yeah, no, he's taking a little bit of a step back from his rookie season. And, this ground game has worked for the Texans this year. But, Joe Mixon has had a couple of, duds. This could be a tough one this week going up against the Chiefs, although he's gone up against them plenty of times in big games. But, yeah, I mean, if the Chiefs had to start Carson Wentz here, I mean, I'd still give him a good chance to win. And, the Texans and C.J. Stroud, they're a different team on the road. And now the weather's getting colder. Again, we saw how, Stroud played against the Ravens. It wasn't good last year in the playoffs. And this team, if they're going to want to go far in the playoffs this year, they're going to have to go on the road and they're going to have to play a Buffalo or they're going to have to play a Kansas City in cold weather. And I don't think they're going to be able to do it with the passing game. Now, if they go into Arrowhead and they beat the Chiefs, and C.J. Stroud throws for over 300 yards, and Joe Mixon runs the football well, that'll give me more confidence in them, more faith in them going forward. But right now, I just don't have a lot of faith in them. I think the defense is still good, but it's going to be up to this offense. This offense is going to have to put up points, and this is a true test for them these final couple weeks. They're playing. These next 2 weeks. You got the Chiefs, and then you got the Ravens coming in on Wednesday. Show me what you're made of. They beat the Bills earlier this year. Show me what you could do against these two teams. And you know what? They played really well against the Lions in the first half when they played them about a month ago, right? The Lions then, shut them out in the second half, I believe, and won. And, they had Jared Goff throw 5 interceptions. That's a game they should have won. So, they have the capability of beating these teams. It's just, they fell short against them. They lost on a game-winning field goal to the Packers. The Vikings destroyed them. But, you beat the Bills. What are you going to do against the Chiefs and the Ravens these next 2 weeks? That will show me what they're made of. And if they go 0-2, then I don't really know what to say. That's kind of my expectation, but they could go out there and surprise me. Again, they have the talent. They just got to go out there and execute. But now going up against Patrick Mahomes is going to be tougher as opposed to going up against Carson Wentz. Mahomes is going to be a little bit compromised because of the injury, but it's still Patrick Mahomes. And the Chiefs, they just continue to find ways to win games. Didn't really have to do that much on Saturday. The defense, got their takeaways off of the Browns. The Browns were just practically giving the Chiefs the ball. And the Chiefs did just enough on offense to, put them up by 2 scores, and, they didn't look back. And that they were able to, rest Mahomes, or we'll just have him sit, towards the end of the game because, the game was never really in jeopardy, and Carson Wentz was able to finish the game. So, in case if there was an emergency, Mahomes would have to come in, but they didn't have to worry about that. So they gave him at least a little bit of time to just, get off his feet. And, let's see what happens this week. But, it's a tough Texans defense that they're going to be going up against. So you do worry about that and the protection of Mahomes. But we'll see how it goes. Let me know what you guys think, though, about this update. Again, looks like Mahomes is going to play, and that's huge for the Chiefs because they're obviously a different team without him. So we are going to take our final break of the show now. When we come back, we will talk about Caleb Williams and the Bears, talk about, his comments after the game against the Vikings, what he had to say, and that will wrap up the show for today. So for one final time today, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.